Episode 1, Crimson Arrival ** from Crimson Legacy. The sky over Var-Astor crackled with unrest, as if the very clouds were whispering secrets too volatile for daylight. The city's heartbeat was industrial, subways rumbling beneath fractured concrete, neon signs blinking like signals to forgotten operatives, and rain carving grooves into alleyways where the past hadn't fully died. It's here, under this stormy veil, that Maya Varma arrived. She stepped off the late-night train in a coat too thin for the wind, clutching a suitcase that held less of her belongings than it did ghosts. She wasn't sure why her hands trembled, only that she was following the instructions scribbled in her father's final letter: find Arian. Trust no one. They will come for your blood. Maya had grown up believing in quiet things. Classical music on her father's gramophone, old medical textbooks scattered across their dining table, and lullabies that always seemed oddly coded. But when her father, Captain Nalin Varma, was declared dead after a mysterious fire at Sayan Ridge, her life split in two, the before and the endless echoing after. She hadn't seen Arian Rykar since the funeral. Not officially. Though she sometimes swore she felt him watching over her in cities where she didn't expect protection. As Maya moved through Var-Astor station, she noticed it, the surveillance camera that tracked her one beat too late, the man with a wire in his ear pretending to read a newspaper, the automated voice over the loudspeaker mispronouncing her name. Someone knew she was back. Outside, rain poured in vertical sheets. A black motorcycle screeched into view and braked beside a flower stall. Its rider, covered head to toe in leather and chrome, removed a helmet to reveal a woman with violet streaks in her hair and a scar just above her temple. She purchased a bouquet and dropped a crimson petal as she rode away. Maya knelt and picked it up. That's when she heard the voice. You shouldn't have returned, said Arian, stepping from the shadows of a closed bookstore. His hair was shorter now. The trench coat was new. But the stare, calm, piercing, unflinching, was the same. I had no choice, Maya replied. They broke into my apartment. Someone left this. She held out the envelope her father had once carried. Inside, a pendant, an encrypted microchip, and a map of Var-Astor's underground. Arian glanced at it and then at the rain. They found the genome vault. We're out of time. They walked quickly through backstreets, past graffiti that seemed to move under the storm, to an old apothecary that led into a subterranean bunker. Arian activated a retinal scanner, and the doors hissed open. Inside was a mosaic of memory. Screens displayed old footage from a military base. Files labeled Phase Cascade, Crimson Carrier, and Project Legacy blinked across terminals. One photo stood out, 3 children near a waterfall, smiling. Maya. Arian. Rayhan. Arian handed Maya a vial. It's not just about your father's work. Your blood contains the encryption sequence to unlock the weapon. Project Crimson was his greatest mistake. Maya recoiled. You said it was science. Not war. Arian's voice turned bitter. He didn't tell you. He encoded the vault map in you. Genetic firewalls. If they replicate your genome, they unlock the cascade. Flashback. Sayan Ridge, 19 years ago. A frozen cliff. Nalin Varma stands before a vault, inputting data. Rayhan, still young, is watching from cover. Arian stands beside him, gripping a rifle. Explosions echo. Nalin screams, protect her. Burn everything else. Back in the bunker, Maya opens the journal she recovered from the fire. Pages filled with riddles, coordinates, poems. One reads. Crimson floods where silence dwells. A memory trapped in crimson cells. Each breath you take may bear the key to vaults beneath forgotten sea, **. Suddenly, an alarm. Intruders breach the apothecary. Arian moves with precision, disarming 3 attackers before Maya even realizes she's in danger. But the 4th carries a weapon encoded to scan her pulse and initiate a cascade pulse. That's when Rayhan appears. He's older. Tired. The scar across his cheek makes him unrecognizable at first. But his eyes, they still burn. Arian aims his weapon. Rayhan doesn't flinch. I didn't come to fight. I came to finish what Varma started. Maya stares. You vanished. I was taken, Rayhan replies. By Devkar's unit. They made me a carrier too, but the map is incomplete. You're the final fragment. Arian steps between them. Then we keep her away from everyone. Rayhan lowers his voice. Too late. They initiated Phase 0. Flash 2, Lieutenant Sarah Devkar in a control room beneath Mount Surya. Her voice is ice as she watches Maya's genetic scan light up. Sequence verified. Mobilize the fleet. In the final hour, Maya, Arian, and Rayhan flee to an abandoned biolab beneath Varastra's medical university. There they uncover her father's final message, a holographic recording embedded in his pendant. You're more than a carrier, Nalin says. You're a safeguard. If they access the vault, they'll unleash something no code can contain. Trust your instinct. Trust Arian. Rayhan will return. Follow the Crimson Trail. The three of them sit in silence. Rain batters the glass. Sirens sound in the distance. Arian speaks first. We have one chance. Rayhan nods. Sion Ridge again. Maya presses her palm against the encrypted chip. Coordinates blink to life. Outside, the sky turns red. Thunder rolled like distant drums of war as Varastra greeted the night with fractured lights and metallic breath. The storm was unrelenting, the wind fierce, and yet for Maya Varma, none of that mattered. Her father was dead. Her home had long been ashes. And now, the secrets he carried were hers to bear. She stepped off the train platform in a worn leather jacket, her suitcase dragging behind like a physical echo of memory. The station was nearly empty, save for two figures, one vending chai and the other pretending not to watch her too closely. Surveillance was the language of this city. Maya had learned to read it fluently. She wasn't just back. She was hunted. Tucked in her coat pocket was a letter, her father's final scrawl before the Sion Ridge fire had consumed his lab, his work, and perhaps his soul. It read, *, they will come. Find Arian. And never let them touch the blood. *. She hadn't seen Arian Rykar in years. Not since the explosion. Not since the last time he looked at her with eyes that knew too much. But Varastra didn't wait for reunions. Already, the rain seemed coded, the flashing lights on the overpass a signal for something more. A black motorcycle tore through the streets, tires slicing puddles with brutal precision. Its rider wore a helmet with a blood-red visor, reflective and unreadable. Maya's heart paused. She didn't know why, but that helmet felt familiar. And then she saw him. Arian, leaning against the frame of a shadowed bookstore across the road, trench coat soaked but posture still. He hadn't changed. Not enough. The jaw, the eyes, the quiet fury. You look older, Maya said, as she reached him. You look like trouble, he replied. I am. They moved quickly, past shuttered markets and into a maze of alleys. Arian spoke in riddles. About factions resurrected. About a genome encrypted in legacy. And most of all, about her father's mistake. Project Crimson. It wasn't a weapon. Not exactly. It was a vault of knowledge, blood, and memory. Her father had hidden it beneath the cold cliffs of Sion Ridge, and encoded the map into his daughter's DNA. Maya wasn't just his heir. She was the key. Arian scanned her wrist with a small device. It blinked. Red. Varma didn't encrypt the map, he murmured. He became it. And so did you. That's when the flashback hit. A small laboratory. A blood scan. Her 5-year-old self screaming while figures in lab coats whispered urgently. The machine declared, *, sequence viable. Phase cascade imminent. *, And then came the fire. The sounds. Her father's voice, protect her. Back in the present, Arian took her to an old apothecary, their safe house years ago, now converted into a bunker. Inside were files, monitors, audio logs. One played. Her father's voice, if you're hearing this, the vault is alive. And so are they. Follow the Crimson Trail. You must reach the cliffs before they do. Arian began decrypting the chip embedded in Maya's pendant. Coordinates emerged. But so did something darker, a second carrier. A duplicate genome. Someone else with access. Someone they thought had died in the same fire. Rehan Sahai. He arrived that night. Scarred, silent, and carrying the weight of betrayal. He claimed to be free, but Arian saw it immediately. Rehan was working for someone. Sarah Devkar. Intelligence commander. Ruthless. Brilliant. And behind the rebirth of Crimson. Rehan offered Maya a deal. Help them open the vault, and she'd be spared. Refuse, and the city would pay. Arian nearly attacked. Maya stopped him. I need answers first. Rehan gave them pieces, shards. Her father's journal had codes and lullabies. Coordinates hidden in bedtime stories. She wasn't just meant to inherit. She was built to lead. The Crimson Vault wasn't about storage. It was about activation. And they were days away. By the end of the night, Arian, Maya, and Rehan descended into a forgotten corridor beneath the university, chasing the coordinates. What they found was a cryogenic pod, a second Maya, comatose, encoded, waiting. Rehan whispered, "Your father made a backup." Arian snarled. He didn't trust anyone. Not even himself. Suddenly, alarms blared. Sarah's voice echoed through the chamber, extraction units inbound. Sequence confirmed. The second Maya opened her eyes. Crimson. Bright. Terrifying. And whispered, "Run." Everything turned red. Alarms wailed through the ancient vault as darkness swallowed the chamber. The silence that followed wasn't peace, it was breathless anticipation. Maya stumbled backward, heart racing, her vision adapting slowly to the shadows. The clone version of herself, the girl in the cryogenic pod, sat upright now, barely moving. Her eyes glowed faintly, not like searchlights, but like embers of something dormant awakening. Arian swept the room with his weapon drawn, teeth clenched. Rehan had retreated behind a server bank, his silhouette flickering beneath red strobes. No one spoke. Then the clone whispered again. "They're already inside." Arian spun toward the vault entrance, barking commands into his comm, but the static replied with nothing. Rehan activated an override terminal, trying to seal the door. The screen blinked once, then displayed an encoded command not even he recognized. Above ground, Devkar's unit advanced. Clad in near-silent armor, faces masked by infrared visors, they moved like phantoms through the frozen terrain. Her voice crackled through their earpieces. "Do not extract. Confirm phase reaction. If she's awake, observe." Back in the vault, Maya approached her clone slowly, cautiously. Her hand trembled as she reached out, flesh meeting flesh. It was warm. Real. Alive. And the moment contact was made, something surged through her. Images. Visions. A cascade of memory that was not hers. She saw a war-torn facility buried beneath mountains. A child screaming inside a glass cage. Her father injecting something into a vial. Sarah Devkar watching through a mirrored window. Maya staggered back, gasping. Arian caught her before she fell. "She's transmitting. She's bleeding memory into me," Maya murmured. The clone tilted her head. "One of us was born. The other was built." He didn't trust fate. Arian turned sharply to Rehan. "How long have you known?" Rayhan's voice was quiet. Long enough to understand why he split the map. Suddenly the vault trembled. Not from footsteps, but an electromagnetic pulse. The lights shattered. Sparks flew. Then, slowly, the clone raised her hand and touched the wall behind her. Symbols flared to life. Coordinates. A second vault. Not Scion Ridge. Not Var Astra. Something deeper. Maya stepped forward. What is that? The clone looked directly at her. The fallback. If this city burns. Then the wall cracked open, not violently, but as if it had been waiting for years. Inside was a sphere. Crimson metal, etched with veins of silver light. Arian approached it with caution, scanning it with his device. No signal, he said. No threat. Rayhan stared. It's not tech. It's organic. This is the source. Sarah's voice boomed from speakers overhead. You've opened the seed vault. And now, we begin. The ceiling above exploded. Shadows descended. Arian pulled Maya to cover. Rayhan fought back with practiced, brutal grace. The clone didn't flinch. She stepped into the line of fire. And the bullets halted midair. Maya screamed. The sphere pulsed once. Everything went silent. Then a voice, not Sarah's, not the clone's, echoed across the chamber. Crimson sequence unlocked. Phase 0 complete. Welcome, carriers. You are now the archive. Asterisk. The lights returned. Arian looked at Maya. You heard that? She nodded. Inside me. The air inside the vault trembled, not from sound, but from something older. Something resonant. The sphere's pulse dimmed, then grew brighter, as if sensing the carriers in its presence. Maya backed away slowly, her breath caught in her throat, as an invisible pressure gripped the room. Her skin felt electrified, like memory itself was trying to climb out of her bones. Arian knelt beside the orb, scanning it with his device again. Still no readings, he muttered. This thing isn't built from anything we know. Rayhan approached, cautiously. It's not hardware. It's grown. Or, awakened. The clone stood silently nearby, eyes still glowing faintly. Maya couldn't look away from her. She felt something, tethered and strange. Like staring into a reflection that didn't blink. A soft tone issued from the sphere. Not mechanical, not artificial, melodic. A hum. Familiar. Maya's eyes widened. I've heard that, she whispered. In one of my father's lullabies. Arian glanced up. The one with the coded lines? She nodded. Between the cliffs and twilight tides, it wasn't just a lullaby. It was a frequency. The vault's walls began to shimmer faintly. Symbols, previously dormant, illuminated across their surface, phrases in Varma's personal encryption, sketches of molecular patterns, and a rotating waveform. The hum grew louder, and with each note, Maya's memories pulsed faster, fragments now flooding in. She saw more than she understood. Her father standing beside the pod years ago, whispering to someone that looked almost, but not quite, like her. Documents titled Phase Bloom. A signature from Sarah Devkar approving Phase 0 initiation. She knew, Maya said aloud. All this time. She signed off on it. Suddenly, the clone spoke again. You weren't supposed to awaken. Maya stepped closer. What do you mean? You were meant to survive. I was meant to activate. But now the sphere recognizes both. Arian's voice was ice. That's why Devkar wants you both. Dual-phase carriers. The clone turned to Maya. And if we both activate, it doesn't split the power. It doubles it. Rayhan muttered, then what happens to Var Astra? No one answered. Above, the vault ceiling began to descend, not as a trap, but like a screen lowering for something to be shown. A hologram emerged. It wasn't Nalin Varma. It was Sarah Devkar. Her projection was younger, composed, dressed in a lab coat with the insignia of the Crimson Initiative. If you're seeing this, she began, you've unlocked the seed. There will be confusion. Betrayal. Loss. But you must remember, this wasn't about protection. It was about preservation. Not of people. Of memory. The clone whispered, she made me first. Maya was trembling. Then why did my father save me? Arian stepped forward. Because he chose legacy over control. The vault doors sealed shut once more. The hum softened. The sphere dimmed. Maya looked at her clone, and felt the recognition pass between them like fire between mirrors. Outside, in the storm, the extraction squad was still waiting. Inside, the story wasn't ending. It was just starting to tell the truth.